So we are studying the chapter ruling the countryside. Okay, in that, who will tell me what is there in the chapter or what we have read till now? Anybody interested to speak? Or all are sleeping with their cameras off? Okay. So ruling the countryside, it is the next chapter after trade to territory. So I told you that now was the time that they wanted to invest in agriculture also. So now they came to the rural areas where they wanted to improve agriculture because they wanted to have more revenue, more money for expanding their trade and flourishing their power. Okay, so then they decided that it can be done by improving the agriculture, and for improving the agriculture they brought different systems which they applied. So I told you last time the three systems were there: permanent settlement, Mehelwadi system, and the Ryotwadi system. Okay, permanent settlement I had explained that what was there in that system. Can anyone tell me what was there in permanent settlement, or it's gone from the mind?
Ma'am, a permanent settlement in which the Rajas and Talukdars was appointed as the Zamindars.
Yes, then only one point was
Ma'am,
there.
they were asked uh, give,
Collect
to
the rent,
collect revenue from the peasants and
give
give.
to the company.
Ma'am, yes. Ma'am, and the amount is to be which is to be paid was fixed permanently.
Yes. And why did they fix the amount permanently? Anyone? Why did they fix the amount permanently? So that regular inflow of the revenue is ensured to them. And they thought that if we will fix the amount, then the extra profit that the zamidars would make, so that they would try to invest in improving the land. Okay, so this was their vision of having of introducing the permanent settlement, but it did not go that like that which how they wanted it to be. Okay, so there were some problems with the system. What were the problems? That rent was very high. Okay, then the zamidars, they lost their zamidaris, and they just when the market became stable, so they just wanted to have their own profits first of all, and they were not interested in improving the land. And moreover, the cultivators, the farmers, they also felt that the system was very oppressive, means not in the favor of them, and the rent which they paid was very high. And when they failed to pay the rent which was asked from them, so then they were asked to leave the lands which they had been tilling for generations. So these were the drawbacks of permanent settlement. Okay, so then after that, new system was devised. What was the new system? The new system was Mehelwadi system. Now we have to understand what was Mehelwadi system. So by the early 19th century, many of the company officials were convinced that the system of revenue had to be changed again. So they kept on changing their systems. How could revenues be fixed permanently at a time where the company needed more money to meet its expenses? So the drawback of permanent settlement was that the rent was fixed permanently. So then they thought that how can we fix the amount permanently when we need more and more expenses? Okay, for the betterment, for the expenses, for the administration and trade, we need more taxes, so we cannot fix that amount. So then they brought one more system that was known as Mehelwadi system, and it was brought in the northwestern provinces. Northwestern provinces में system आया था Mehelwadi system. Okay, the very first line, underline this. In the northwestern provinces of the Bengal presidency, most of this area is now in Uttar Pradesh. An Englishman called Holt Mackenzie. So who introduced this Mehelwadi system? It was Holt Mackenzie in 1822. Very important for 1 mark. Who devised Mehelwadi system? Holt Mackenzie in 1822 devised this new system. Okay, he felt that village was an important social institution in North Indian society and needed to be preserved. उनको क्या लगता, see what is the meaning of, first of all understand what is the meaning of mahal. Okay, here mahal means a village. Okay, it is not a big palace here, so that is not mahal. Mahal here means a village. So collecting the revenue from the villages. So you know, in the villages there is lot of land for agriculture. Okay, so they first, what they did in the Mahalwadi system, they sent the collectors. उन्होंने collectors को villages में भेजा, and they asked the collectors to survey the land, that how much land is there in one village. So according to that, their revenue was fixed. Okay, according to the land, the revenue was fixed, and that revenue was collected from the, you can say, they appointed one village headman. So here no zamidars were there. Permanent settlement may, the revenue was collected first by the zamidars, and then zamidar had to pay to the company. But in Mahalwadi system, no zamidars were there. There was one village headman like sarpanch. Okay, but they did not give the name sarpanch. They said the village headman, he will collect the taxes from the farmers of the village depending upon how much land they have, and then he would pay that revenue to the company. Okay, so here the amount was not fixed. What is the difference between permanent settlement and the Mahalwadi system? Permanent settlement, the amount was fixed and zamidar was involved. He was giving the collecting the rent and then paying to the company. But here, Arush, please mute yourself. Don't unmute unnecessarily. Okay. So if anybody has any doubt, you can raise your hands. I'm not allowing you to unmute. You have to complete the chapter. Okay. So understand what is the difference between permanent settlement and Mahalwadi. Permanent may the amount was fixed and zamidars used to collect the taxes. But here, no amount was fixed. First, the village land was surveyed, which how much the land is there in the village, and according to that, their revenue was fixed. Okay, so that revenue, and there was the involvement of village headman. Zamidar was not there. Village headman was there who used to collect the taxes from the farmers and then pay to the company. So this was the Mahalwadi system. Mahalwadi system means village system, the village land system. Okay, so Mahal means village. It's given here. Mahal in British revenue records, Mahal is a revenue estate which may be a village or a group of villages. Okay, so he felt that village was an important social institution. Under his directions, collectors went from village to village, inspecting the land, measuring the fields, and recording the customs and rights of different groups. The estimated revenue of each plot within a village was added up to calculate the revenue that each village or mahal had to pay. So I told you that first collectors were sent to inspect the land, that how much land they have, and record the customs, inspect the land, that what kind of land is there, is it fertile, how much fertile land is there, how much income they can make from that. So this land survey was done, and that was done by the collectors. And then, so that the amount of each plot was added up to calculate the revenue that would be collected from the whole mahal, whole village. So this demand was to be revised periodically, not permanently fixed. Okay, permanent settlement may it was fixed, but here they said that this demand was to be revised periodically, means after some time it has to be revised, and the charge of collecting the revenue and paying it to the company was given to the village headman. Underline this line. So who was the in charge of collecting the revenue and paying to the company in Mahalwadi system? It was the village headman. Underline this line, rather than the zamidar. Okay, so this system came to be known as Mahalwadi system. Clear? Mahalwadi system is clear? Is there any doubt? You can raise hand now. Otherwise, I'll go to the next one, the Monroe system. It's very simple again, that it was different from permanent settlement because it has to be revised. No zamidar was there, village headman was there, and the amount was fixed by inspecting the land. It was revised periodically. Okay, then this kind of system, because Mahalwadi system was introduced in the northwestern regions, and not in the southern region. So they wanted a same kind of system in the southern region also. So southern region may be same system. When this was introduced, it was known as Munro system. Okay, Munro system, or you can say Ryotwari system. These two terms are same. Don't get confused that Munro system is different from Ryotwari system. Munro system and Ryotwari system is same. Okay, so Munro system was what? In the British territories in the south. So I told you that in the northwestern regions Mahalwadi system, but in the south side it was the same system, but it was known as Munro system or the Ryotwari system. There was a similar move away from the idea of permanent settlement. The new system that was devised came to be known as Ryotwari. Ryotwar. Who were Ryots? Ryots were the cultivators, peasants, the farmers. उनको ryots बोलते हैं, ठीक है? It was tried on a small scale by Captain Alexander Red in some of the areas that were taken over by the company after the wars with Tipu Sultan, subsequently developed by Thomas Munro. So, who was Thomas Munro? It is given here in the pictures. You can look here. Beside one picture is given of Thomas Munro. He was governor of Madras from 1819 to 26. Take this line here. So he was in Madras, he was in southern region. That's why the name was Munro. Okay, so that Munro is on his name. That is Thomas Munro. So this system was gradually extended all over South India. So this is the difference between Mahalwadi system and Ryotwari system. Mahalwadi system was introduced in the northwestern regions, and Ryotwari system was introduced in the southern parts of South of India. Then Red and Munro felt that in the south there were no traditional zamidars. So in this system also there were no zamidars. The settlement, they argued, had to be made directly with the cultivators. So one difference was there in this Ryotwari system, that was that there was neither zamidar nor village headman. Okay, Ryotwari system में ना तो जमींदार था ना village headman था. Directly the deal was done with the ryots. Ryots, who were ryots? Ryots were the farmers, the cultivators who used to cultivate, okay, different crops in the fields. So directly deal was done that this much amount of revenue the ryots had to pay. So that was the only difference between the Ryotwari system and the Mahalwadi system. Okay, उसमें village headman पहले farmer से collect करके फिर company को देता था, but इसमें directly the company was taking the taxes from the ryots. Okay, ryots were the cultivators who had tilled the land for generations. Their fields had to be carefully and separately surveyed before the revenue assessment was made. So individually their lands were looked upon first, that what kind of land do they have, how much agriculture, how much yield is coming, and how much profit are they making. So based on that, revenue was fixed on them, and that had to be taken from the ryots directly. There were no zamidars, no village headmen. Munro thought that the British should act. Okay, so see these three systems. I hope all of you have understood: permanent settlement, Mehelwadi system, and Ryotwadi system. Okay, so permanent settlement, the amount was fixed. There was Zamidar who was collecting the revenue, and in the Mehelwadi system, there were no Zamidars, there were village headmen, and the amount was also not fixed. It was revised periodically, and Mahalwadi system introduced in the northwestern regions. The same kind of system was introduced in the southern parts also, that was known as Ryotwari system. And the only difference was that the taxes were taken directly from the ryots by inspecting their lands. Fine. So these three systems are clear, very simple to understand. Now, see, when Britishers were adopting these systems, were applying these systems, so उनको लगा कि that they are acting as paternal father figures protecting the ryots under their charge. So they were thinking that we are the saviors. हम इन जो छोटे छोटे जो किसान है, the small peasants were there, we are saving them. We are acting as a paternal figures for them. But that was not true. What they were thinking, that was completely wrong. All was not well. So I'm reading on page 30. Okay, so the drawbacks of all these three systems were there that the rent which they asked, Nishka, just wait. So the rent which they asked from the farmers, that was too high. within a few years after the new systems were imposed, it was clear that all was not well with them. So Britishers, they were looking for their profits. उन्होंने इतने ज़्यादा revenues उन पे impose कर दिए, and they were forced to pay that. And if they failed to do so, उनके lands ले लेते थे, उनको मारते पीटते भी थे. So driven by the desire to increase the income from land, revenue officials fixed too high a revenue demand. So that was the drawback. Peasants were unable to pay. Small farmers, they were unable to pay that amount which was too high. Riots fled the countryside. कि जो छोटे किसान थे, the small farmers, they just ran away. They just left their lands and they ran away because the rent was too high. They were not able to pay. So they fled the countryside and village became deserted in many regions. कि गांव के गांव खाली हो गए because the people, they were frustrated with the Britishers, with their systems. Optimistic officials had imagined कि जो ब्रिटिशर्स थे, जो कंपनी के लोग थे, उन्होंने इमेजिन किया था दैट वी आर डूइंग बेनिफिट फॉर द पीपल. सो ऑप्टिमिस्टिक मीन्स होपफुल. So the officials had imagined that the new systems would transform the peasants into rich enterprising farmers. कि जो peasants हैं वो बहुत बड़े farmers बन जाएंगे, but this did not happen. So that these were the drawbacks. Yes, Nishka. Just wait. Yes, unmute.
Ma'am, in the Yotwadi system, was the revenue fixed or not?
No, it was not fixed. Same thing is there. Only the revenue was fixed in the permanent settlement, because in that word permanent is there. But in Mahalwadi and Rotwadi, these were almost same systems, but only difference is that that was introduced in the northwestern, Mahalwadi in the northwestern, and Rotwadi in the southern regions. And one more difference was that the Mahalwadi system a village headman was involved, but in the Rotwadi system, directly the taxes were taken from the riots. Riots were the small farmers. Okay, so this was there. Now with this we are done with three systems. Now what was the next need of the company को था कि what the crops which they wanted the farmers to grow those crops only. ठीक है. And out of that one was indigo. What is indigo? Does anyone know? Indigo was a plant which gives a blue dye, blue color. Okay, and that blue dye was used to dye the clothes or to make the prints, and it was very much in demand that time. Indigo crop. Okay, so this indigo production we are going to study now, that how they forced Indians, and why was the demand of indigo rose so much, and how did they convince the Indians to grow indigo, and what went wrong in that also. Okay, so we are going to study now indigo production. So next is crops for Europe. The British also realized that the countryside could not only yield revenue, it could also grow the crops that Europe required. कि यूरोप को कौन सा उस टाइम पे क्रॉप्स चाहिए थे, that they wanted opium and indigo. Opium is also a kind of drug, and indigo is a blue dye. Okay, that gives blue color to the clothes or to the prints. So by the late 18th century, the company was trying its best to expand the cultivation of opium and indigo. Underline these two crops, opium and indigo. So these two were in demand. In the century and half that followed, the British persuaded or forced the cultivators in various parts of India to produce other crops also. Jute in Bengal, tea in Assam, sugarcane in United Provinces. United Provinces is the old name of Uttar Pradesh. Now it is known as Uttar Pradesh. That time it was known as United Provinces. Wheat in Punjab, cotton in Maharashtra, and Punjab rice in Madras. So these were the crops which they decided that these crops will be uh, cultivated in these states. Okay, how was this done? The British used a variety of methods to expand the cultivation of crops that they needed. Let us take a closer look at the story of one such crop, that is indigo. So we are going to study that what is indigo and why its demand was there, and how they convinced, how Britishers fulfilled their requirements of the indigo. Okay, so they were harsh also. They were very harsh. They forced people to grow the crop which they wanted. उनको अपने motives fill करने थे बस, और कुछ नहीं. ठीक है. So does color have a history? So yes, this indigo, this is a blue color. Okay, blue color dye it is, and it has a history also. So you can see here figure 5 and 6. So these are beautiful prints. These are also made from the indigo color. Okay, you can see the blue color which is there in the prints, that is by the blue color, that is indigo. So these are two images of cotton prints. The image on the left shows a kalamkari print. You know kalamkari is the art of which state? It is from Andhra Pradesh. So by the weavers of Andhra Pradesh in India, one mark question can be there. Kalamkari Andhra Pradesh. Okay. On the right is a floral cotton print designed and produced by William Morris, a famous poet and artist of 19th century Britain. So there is one thing common in the two prints. So what is common in these two prints? Both use a rich blue color commonly called indigo. Underline this line. So what is indigo? It is a rich blue color. Now, do you know how this color was produced? The blue that you see in these prints was produced from a plant called indigo. So this blue color dye was produced from the plants that were known as indigo plants. Okay, it is likely that the blue dye used in the Morris prints in 19th century Britain was manufactured from indigo plants cultivated in India. And next line is very important, underline. For India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world at that time. Okay, so that time they're talking about the 19th century. In the 19th century, India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world. Now, why the demand for Indian indigo only? कि इंडियन का इंडिगो की डिमांड क्यों थी इतनी? Because in Europe there were people who were cultivating this blue color dye, but that blue color dye that was cultivated from the plant woad, WOAD. It is given here in the next paragraph. But that woad plant gave a very pale and dull color. वो बहुत pale और dull blue color देता था, so that did not attract the people. So European people, that's why they were more interested in the indigo plant, because indigo gave a rich blue color which was very attractive and shiny. ओके, सो उसके लिए जो यूरोप के जो प्लांटर्स थे, जो वोड प्लांटर्स थे, उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट को प्रेशराइज करके इंडिगो पे बैन लगवा दिया था, दैट फ्रॉम इंडिया इंडिगो इज कमिंग, सो दैट वर गिविंग कंपटीशन टू देम, जो वहां पे वोड प्लांटर्स थे. So but earlier, then later on, this ban was removed, and this indigo started importing. They started importing indigo from India. So then slowly they pressurized Indians to grow this indigo. So there were systems for growing this indigo, Nij system, Ryoti system. Nij and Ryoti, two systems are there that we are going to study. Okay, so the indigo plant grows primarily in the tropics. Okay, tropical countries. By the 13th century, Indian indigo was being used by cloth manufacturers in Italy, France, Britain. कि इंडिया ने अपना इंडिगो बहुत सारी कंट्रीज में एक्सपोर्ट किया है, टू इटली, फ्रांस, ब्रिटेन, टू डाई क्लोथ. However, only small amounts of indigo, ज्यादा जाता था इंडिया का जो इंडिगो था, दैट वर मोर गोइंग टुवर्ड्स इटली, फ्रांस एंड ब्रिटेन, but only small amounts of Indian indigo reached the European market, and its price was very high. Okay, so these, that's why they said that they wanted people from Europe. They started coming to India, and they were becoming indigo planters over there, because this indigo, they gave a huge, it gave a huge profit that time. Okay, so यूरोपियन मार्केट में बहुत कम पहुंचता था इंडिगो, और जो जितना पहुंचता था उसका प्राइस भी बहुत ज्यादा था. European cloth manufacturers therefore had to depend on another plant called woad, WOAD. Underline this one. Fourth line. European cloth manufacturers therefore had to depend on another plant called woad to make violet and blue dyes. Being a plant of the temperate zones, woad was more easily available in Europe. Europe में easily available था woad. It was grown in northern Italy, southern France, and in parts of Germany and Britain. Now, worried by the competition from indigo, I told you this thing कि जो यूरोप में जो woad planters थे, they were worried. Why were they worried? They were worried by the competition from indigo. Wood producers in Europe pressurized their governments to ban the import of indigo. कि indigo जो इंडिया से जा रहा है उसको ban कर दो, because that, if that is coming, so they were not able to sell their wood. That was also a dye. So why means these gold planters, they were in competition and they pressurized the government, because cloth dyers, however, they preferred indigo. जो cloth dyers थे वो indigo को ज़्यादा prefer करते थे. Why do they prefer indigo? Because indigo, underline this line, second line in third paragraph, indigo produced a rich blue color, whereas the dye from wood was pale and dull. So pale, जो wood की जो dye थी, that was pale and dull, but the dye which was produced from the indigo, it produced a rich blue color. So by the 17th century, European cloth producers persuaded, क्योंकि जो cloth dyers थे उनको अच्छा material चाहिए था dye करने के लिए, so that's why they pressurized the government to release the ban on indigo, कि हमें indigo इंडिया से लाने दो, so we do not want to use this wood here. Okay, so that's why they were again successful, and the ban on the indigo was removed. The French began cultivating indigo in Saint Dominic in the Caribbean islands. जो फ्रांस, फ्रांस में भी ये स्लेव ट्रेड चलती थी उस टाइम पे. So the people, they were forced, people were made slaves. फ्रांस की बात कर रही हूँ मैं. So फ्रांस में भी people were made slaves and they were forced to grow indigo. But later on, sometimes the people used to rebel also. वो protest भी करते थे. You can see here in this on the next page, figure 7. Figure 7, the slave revolt in Saint Dominic. स्लेव रिवोल्ट मींस जो स्लेव्स थे वहां पे, जो फ्रांस में, जिनको फोर्स किया जाता था टू ग्रो इंडिगो, दे रिवोल्टेड, उन्होंने रिबेल कर दिया अगेंस्ट दिस, यू कैन से, who was there, French colonies, those who were big powers, okay, against them. So in the 18th century, French planters produced indigo and sugar in the French colony. The African slaves who worked on the plantations rose in rebellion in 1791. So France में the people who were slaves, they were from Africa. Okay, African slaves were there who were working in France, and they revolted. They burned the plantations, killed their rich planters, and they abolished slavery in the French colonies. So these events led to the collapse of the indigo plantations on the Caribbean islands. So this is how, means you can say, in every part of the country where this indigo was grown, so there were some reasons that the this cultivation of indigo went down around the world. So only India was left where this indigo was grown, and India was supplying the indigo to other countries. Okay, so it is written here that by the end of the 18th century, the demand for Indian indigo grew further. कि बाकी जितने भी regions थे where this indigo was grown, so there were some problems there. वो कहीं पे slave trades थी, the people used to rebel, the system was not fine. So that's why only India was left where this indigo was grown. Britain began to industrialize and its cotton production expanded dramatically, created an enormous new demand for cloth dyes. ठीक है, उस टाइम पे जो ब्रिटेन था, जो वहां पे इंडस्ट्रीज सेटअप होने लगी, ठीक है, इंडस्ट्रीज सेटअप होने लगी, उसके बाद जहाँ पे जो कपड़ा बनता था उनको डाई करने के लिए इंडिगो चाहिए था. सो दैट्स व्हाई द डिमांड ऑफ द डाई आल्सो rose. So there was new demand for cloth dyes. While the demand for indigo increased, its existing supplies from the West Indies and America collapsed for a variety of reasons. So बाकी countries से जो indigo आता था, that was stopped due to some reasons. Between 1783 and 89, the production of the indigo in the world fell by half. So only India was left. Cloth dyers in Britain now desperately looked for new sources of indigo supply. उनको new sources चाहिए थे indigo supply. From where could this indigo be procured? So now they turned towards India. इसलिए वो इंडिया की तरफ टर्न हो गए कि दैट the rich soil of India, the fertile soil of India was perfect for growing indigo. Britain turns to India. Faced with the rising demand for indigo in Europe, the company in India looked for ways to expand the area under indigo cultivation. So indigo cultivation, see, if you look here on page 32, page 32, first paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th line. Underline this one. So that time, because in other countries the production of indigo was collapsed, only India was left. So in 18th century, indigo cultivation in Bengal expanded rapidly and Bengal indigo came to dominate the world market. कि जो इंडिया में जो इंडिया का इंडिगो था वो पूरी वर्ल्ड को डोमिनेट करने लग गया इन 1788 में ओनली अबाउट 30% ऑफ द इंडिगो इंपोर्टेड इनटू ब्रिटेन वाज फ्रॉम इंडिया कि 1788 में 30% ऑफ द इंडिगो विच वाज गोइंग टू द यूरोप ओके दैट वाज फ्रॉम इंडिया कि इंडिया का सिर्फ 30% इंडिगो जा रहा था ब्रिटेन में 1788 में बट इन 1810 the proportion had gone up to 95%. 1810 में 95% of the indigo which was going to the Britain that was from India. So India was the leading producer of indigo that time. So as the indigo trade grew, कि जैसे indigo की trade बढ़ती गई इंडिया में, commercial agents and officials of the company began investing in indigo production. So they were very clever. They used to see where the profit is. So they found that in India this indigo production is very high and it is making huge profits. So people from Europe, they started going towards India. Over the years many company officials left their jobs कि company के officials ने अपनी jobs छोड़ दी to look after their indigo business. Okay, so that was making huge profit. Attracted by the prospect of high profits, numerous Scotsmen and Englishmen came to India and became planters. बहुत सारे लोगों ने अपनी जॉब छोड़ दी है बिकॉज उनको लगा कि इंडिगो में बहुत पैसा है इट इज मेकिंग ह्यूज प्रॉफिट सो देन दे केम टू इंडिया एंड दे बिकेम indigo planters. Those who had no money to produce indigo could get loans from the company. So because company was very much interested in procuring this indigo, so they were ready to give loans also to the people who were growing indigo and the banks that were coming up that time. So company was also giving loans, even the banks were there. Now the next is how was indigo cultivated. Okay, so there were two systems, Nij and Rayoti. Underline the first line. There were two main systems of indigo cultivation, Nij system and Rayoti system. Okay, within the system of Nij cultivation में क्या था? What do you mean by Nij? Nij means your own. Okay, so I'll not explain this. We'll stop here because meeting is going to be over. Okay, so we will continue from this tomorrow. That how is indigo cultivated? Two methods are there: knit system and the Rayoti system. But there were some problems. इसमें भी then so many problems were there, and the people in the last we will study about Blue Rebellion. That was the history, you can say a very big history in India, that the Indian planters they started revolting against the Britishers. Okay, that was a very you can say very profound rebellion of that time. Okay, so that we will study tomorrow. So please read up to here where we have discussed, and if any doubts are there, so please bring it tomorrow. And still now also, if you have any doubt, so you can